thing for you, and it's a pleasure to have you back. So thank you. I was about to just ask for that. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are welcoming back Alex from Master in the Military today. He is someone who has navigated both supersonic speeds in the cockpit and the rapid fire world of global entrepreneurship. Alex is an Air Force Academy grad with a degree in mechanical engineering who spent a decade serving as an F-15 fighter pilot. Didn't mean to demote you, my apology. From all the way to the UK and all the way around the world, he served as the Assistant Chief of Weapons and Tactics, a role that means ultimate precision, strategy, and leadership under pressure. Alex's journey didn't stop at the flight line. Upon transitioning, he didn't just look at a job, he built one. He successfully launched and scaled an e-commerce business, managing global supply chains and white label product lines through Amazon. Now he is the founder of Master the Military, a venture dedicated to helping others navigate their own paths while pursuing his MBA at the London Business School, where he serves on the executive committee for Military and Business Club. Alex is here to show us that the fighter pilot mindset is not just in the air. It's powerful engines coming to successful businesses. Whether you're interested in entrepreneurship, high-level corporate strategy, or just how to translate your military service into brands that command respect, Alex has the blueprint. Let's give Alex a round of applause for joining us today. First of all, sir, thank you very much for your time. I am going to sit there and kick it off because this is the first time I have hosted you. Give us your origin story. What led you to the Air Force Academy, which is down the road from me because I am in South Denver? And how did you end up driving F-15s?
Yeah. So, I mean, very long story short, I'm a Texas guy, grew up in Dallas. I was one of those nerdy kids that saw Top Gun when I was a kid and decided that's what I wanted to do. So, figured out the best path was to go to a school up on the side of a mountain with no partying, nothing fun to do except hang out and go hiking and stuff. So, it ended up there and was lucky enough to get a pilot slot. Went to pilot training out in Oklahoma at lovely Hance Air Force Base, Enid, America. I don't know if anyone's been out there. And then landed an F-15 slot and kind of all over the place with that. My final assignment was at RAF Lakenheath in the UK. So I was out there almost 4 years. While there, met a gal who's now my wife. So we now have two kiddos. So my wife and my eldest son has a funny British accent. The youngest one's still in diapers, so no accent yet. And yeah, I mean, when I got out, kind of my main goal was that I never wanted to have a job ever again. So I knew I had to create my own job. And the three requirements that I had were: one, it had to be completely location independent; two, I wouldn't be actively trading my time for money; and three, it had to be something lucrative enough that it could support my lifestyle. And that's what sent me down the kind of digital nomad e-commerce path. Did that for about 5 years. And then now kind of settling down a little bit because, like I said, we got two kiddos. So maybe a little more stability in our life. So yeah, launched Master the Military to help other military members out, transitioning and veterans, understand the resources that are available to them, because I could not have made it this far without all the help that I got from the system.
That's really interesting, because, I've been out for 10 years and I'm still finding something new every day. It's sort of the growth and the opportunities of being able to grow, yourself post your military career. So you said it yourself, you kind of wanted to be your own boss. You did it. Was it sort of like that academy institution that instilled that? Was it that fighter pilot mentality? Like, what made you decide to sit there and kind of go do that once you finally hung up the flight suit and said, my time is over?
Yeah, I'd actually argue that the academy didn't do much for that, and kind of my time active duty didn't do much for that either. I'd argue that the academy builds great leaders. Some of you might disagree. I'm sure you've all had a bad leader ahead of you that was an academy grad. So sorry. But same thing, like active duty, like the military builds great employees, but you kind of have to have this spark within you to want to take the less trodden path. It's a higher risk, higher reward situation. But if you've got the temperament for it, or if you're even curious about it, I'd highly recommend you do it. And it doesn't have to be kind of the way that I did it. I just jumped ship and just went in, dove into the deep end. And I actually don't recommend that to people. What I recommend instead, if you are interested in kind of running your own business, doing your own thing, kind of controlling your own destiny a little bit more, if you can, do it while you have your day job. So start it out as a side hustle on the side, like experiment with it. Don't bet the farm. You don't need to pour all your money into it and quit and go after it 100% without validating your idea first. But it can be something you kind of have going on in the background, and you can start building it, get a little traction, get some feedback, maybe pivot a couple times until you decide you've found something that is good enough and likely enough to work for you that you're willing to jump ship and go all in.
That's a really great thing. And Jordy was actually talking about that earlier before you popped on. It's finding that thing that gives you that drive. And, yeah. And this is something everyone here, I'm going to beat the dead horse right now. It's you find that job, but don't quit your day job to be able to, extend beyond what you can do and push yourself, put yourself in that point of deliberate discomfort so that way you can grow. But on the other hand, really find what you really want to do. Like for me, when I got out, I was just doing a lot of learning and development work and doing a lot of scut work, but I wanted to do more. And that's sort of how I transitioned to doing like corporate enablement. There's a problem. How do you sit there and fix it? And then growing it from there. And that's what I love about what I do. It's, there's so many different things that go along with it. But I want to talk a little bit about Master of the Military and what exactly you do, what the program and process is like, so that way the people here have a better understanding of what the program is, you being the founder and the voice of the everything.
Yeah, sure. So, a very short version, it is a community of like-minded individuals that are all affiliated with the military, either still in or out, that are all after the same goal. And the goal that we talk about is financial independence. And financial independence means lots of different things to lots of different people. It doesn't have to be sitting on a yacht somewhere in the Mediterranean hanging out. Financial independence for a lot of people can be just a couple extra $1,000 a month to give you the flexibility to work when you want or if you want. For some people, it can be, rental income coming in from some other properties, just to be able to put you in a situation where you're not living paycheck to paycheck, and more of the decisions that you make are not based upon money and based upon what makes most sense for you and your family. So, breaking it down, we've got a community, we've got over 150 people in right now that are all working towards the same goal. We've got a lot of very successful veteran entrepreneurs that talk about their entrepreneurial challenges and successes. We break things down like the three main benefits that people in the military have, and what's absolutely incredible that tells you about is that you have these, and not only that you have them, but how to use them as well. So I'll just run through kind of the low hanging fruit, like easy stuff here. I know everybody here has heard about a VA loan. I imagine a lot of people have used it, but a lot of people haven't as well. Just as a quick story for you, before I went to use my VA loan the first time, I sat down with my commander, so Lieutenant Colonel, real crusty F-15 pilot, been in a long time. And I said, "Hey, I'm thinking of using this loan. I want to buy a property." I was in Klamath Falls, Oregon at that time, which is the schoolhouse for F-15s. And he told me, "Hey man, like you're not going to be here that long. This town isn't that nice. Like don't blow your VA loan in this one spot, because once you use it, that's it." And I realized like right then and there, like this lieutenant colonel had no idea like how to actually use a VA loan, because that wasn't true. So as like just a couple tidbits that you may or may not know is, number one, you can use your VA loan a bunch of times. You can basically use it as many times as you can qualify for a loan. You can sell properties and then keep using it, but you can also just keep using it. So you can have multiple properties at the same time. It's not a one and done thing. So if people are telling you that, they have no idea what they're talking about. Number two, the really big one is that you can buy multifamily property with a VA loan. So you can buy up to a 4-unit property. You can buy a single family home, obviously a duplex, a triplex, and a quadplex. And it blows my mind that people don't know this. So that's how I started my real estate journey over a decade ago. I bought a fourplex. Three of the units were already occupied. You do have to move into one of the units, the letter of the law. I lived in there for a year. I bought another place and I did the exact same thing. So if you think about it, like I'm in business school right now, so all we're learning about is finance and returns and how to invest. And my return on investment for that property, that first one, is infinite because I bought it with pretty much no money down and I've been cash flow positive from day one. So I was living somewhere where I wasn't paying a mortgage all of a sudden. I wasn't paying rent and I actually had money coming into my bank account every single month. I did that for a year and I did it again at another spot. And then I took all that money and I did it again and bought another place. So you kind of have this snowball that goes up from there. Besides the VA loan, another thing is the GI Bill. Like I know everybody here has heard of that and kind of knows about it, but just some tidbits about the GI Bill. You don't have to use it for college. Like everyone's like, oh, I need to go get a 4-year degree. For a lot of people, that doesn't make sense. Or maybe you have a degree already. So you can use it for a master's or something like that. But you can use it for trade school. You can use it to get a commercial pilot's license. You can use it to go to truck driving school. You can use it for on the job training. So you can get paid by the government while you're actually working at the same time. So you can get paid twice while you're learning something. And then another really powerful part of it that people aren't aware of is when you're using your GI Bill, you're getting BAH. You're getting E5 with dependents BAH the entire time that you're using it. So even if it's something where you say like, you know what, I don't need my GI Bill, I'm never going to use it, whatever, I don't care. Think of it as just like put yourself in a situation where you can go learn something, whether it's at a community college or an online class or whatever, and go get that monthly housing allowance that they're going to provide for you. That depending where you are in the country, that can be a lot of money. If you're in Texas, like in Dallas, where I'm from, I think it's like 2 grand or 2,500 bucks a month or something. If you're in New York, that's like $5,000 a month. So imagine you have 36 months of $5,000 a month that you can use towards either paying down debt or investing or doing other things with. So the GI Bill is absolutely an incredible resource that you need to be using, regardless of if you think you need the traditional college route or not. And then the last one I'll talk about is VA disability benefits. So I remember when I got out of the military, I kind of looked down and I was like, I have 10 fingers and 10 toes. Like I don't have a disability. Everything's fine here. And I know a lot of people listening to this probably feel the same way, but that's really the wrong way to think about that. You need to understand that the VA disability program was put in place for a reason. So you are getting compensation for any issue that you possibly have caused by your time in the military. And the reason why this is such a good program is because not only did you stand up, raise your right hand, you took the oath and you served, but you gave up on the opportunity to work in the civilian world where you would have been making more money and would be much further along in your civilian career right now. You sacrificed so that your family had to move around with you. Like you did all this stuff serving your country, and our country is incredibly grateful for what you did. Our government is incredibly grateful for what you did and what you're doing right now, even if it doesn't seem like that sometimes. So it's an absolutely amazing program. And what I tell people in our program is get what you've earned, no more and no less. We're all about ethical behavior in this community where we're not one of those like people you'll see advertising on Instagram or whatever, like we'll get you 100% disability or whatever. But if you've earned it, you better go for it, you know? And if you aren't at the level that you should be, you are missing out on money. And I'm going to say money, but that may sound greedy or bad, but that's money you can be spending on your future, on your family's future. You can be putting that towards your kids' college fund. Like this is really real deal stuff. Like this money adds up. And the fact that it's tax free as well is just absolutely incredible. So just some quick stats for you. If you're at 10%, I think that's like $175 a month. If you're up at 100% and you get all of there's some like special extra ones you can get as well, you're pushing $5,000 a month tax free for the rest of your life. Oh, and by the way, as you get higher up, 10%, 20%, 30%, you start getting more free medical care from the VA. So if you haven't done a full 20 years, you can still get free medical care for the rest of your life. So if you if you get hit by a bus or something, you're going to go to the ER, obviously. But if you need long-term cancer treatment or something like that, like the VA will pay for everything. So just think about how powerful that is. And then lastly, the other thing is if you do end up with 100% P&T, if you are entitled to that, it unlocks the equivalent of the GI Bill for all of your kids. Doesn't matter if you have 10 kids or 5 kids, 1 kid, whatever. It unlocks that ability for them so they can go to college for free as well. And then outside of that, there's state stuff, state specific things. One I'll talk about is Texas. If you 100% in Texas, you don't pay property tax, which if there's any Texans here, you know how crazy that money is. But yeah. So I'll kind of summarize all that. Long story long, we help people understand the resources that are available to them, but just having more money coming in doesn't solve your problems. It's then learning what to do with that money once you have it. Do you invest it? Do you start a business? Do you just start building a nest egg? For a lot of people, it's just building up a financial runway in the background, an emergency slush fund, because living month to month is a really scary place to be and not smart. It's going to bite you in the ass at some point. So yeah, it teaches people how to access this kind of stuff and then what to do with it from there, working your way up.
I love
Well,
it. Trenton, you had a question. And if you do have a question for Alex, do not be afraid to keep your hand up. I love questions. So Trenton, go ahead. And Nick, I did see you raise your hand, then you dropped it down. Did you have a question as well?
I was just clapping for the man. He's killing it. I love it.
There we go. Trenton, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I'm living overseas and plan to stay over here over in Germany. And I know there's a lot of confusing rules when using like VA benefits, properties, especially in the Europe area. Like, are you like well versed in like overseas information about that? I'm looking to how to get some of that information.
Reasonably so. I'm sitting in the UK right now. My wife's British. I've been living here on and off 10 years. So not Germany specific.
Okay.
I'd be happy to answer any questions. And if I don't know this stuff, I bet there's somebody in mass of the military right now that does, because there's a
Okay.
lot of really sharp people in there.
All right. Appreciate it.
So you touched on the big thing, benefits, and I actually did work for a DBQ company for a little bit, and I know some people who do run those organizations. So there's a lot of organizations that sit there and say we're different because of XYZ 1, 2, 3. Then there are others that sit there and those same groups will say, well, they're just claim sharks and things like that. Flat out your opinion, because I had to do it on my own, getting my increase, getting my 100% PNT, getting all of that. Is there, do you see a value in those services, or do you just sit there and say no whatsoever? I've had some people here say yes, they're great. I've had some people here that say no, they're awful. Then some of the students here have gone out and seen like videos from like betclaims.ai, and I know Lucas incredibly well, and I know a lot of people in that organization. But what's your 2 cents on that?
I would say they have a place. There's certain situations where you want to bring in outside help like that. The story that I'll tell though is when I've got my first rating, I went through one of these organizations, which I'll leave unnamed, but it was one of the ones that like they legally can't charge you anything up front. So what they do is they take some stuff on the back end.
Aha.
And
Yep.
yeah. So this one ended up taking, I think it was like 6 months worth of the increase that they got me, which ended up being thousands of dollars. And so once again, they have their place. So they did help me, and I got my claim in. I got my rating. Okay, so great. But in retrospect, when I look back at it and I actually learned a little bit more, I could have done the entire thing by myself if I had just known where to find the resources to do it. So I would argue that 80% of veterans out there pursuing a disability rating can probably do it by themselves. It's really not that complicated. Now, if you have a very peculiar situation, you've got a lot going on, perhaps, yes. but just be aware of what you're paying for. And also be aware that there are organizations out there that will help you for free if you want them to as well. So I'm not going to sit here and say they're all bad. I will say there are a lot of claim sharks out there. Um, when y'all get out into the civilian world, you'll see it's hard to know who to trust sometimes, you know. But yeah, that's why kind of everything at the core of Master the Military is I don't make any claims about anything. I'm not going to make you a millionaire. I'm not going to get you 100% P&T. Like we're not going to get you anything. But what we are going to do is provide you with the resources and the tools for you to be able to help yourself.
I love it. I love it 100%. Thank you for your honesty. I do greatly appreciate it. Now, let's say we have, and we do have a few veterans here that are tinkering with starting their own business and doing all of that. You know, you mentioned the day job and things like that. I know that you had it immediately when you were sitting there jumping out of the Air Force, but when you have that aha moment and you have something that is a true like blueprint of something and you feel like it can go to market like tomorrow, when do you really start kind of putting all of like the aha moments on paper and really formulating that true business plan?
I mean, it's kind of a cumulative process, I'd say. Like it's something that takes time. What I would recommend in a situation like that, if you feel like you're getting close, reach out to some of the resources that we have as veterans. There are actual business boot camps and incubators set up just for us, just for veterans that are out there. And a lot of them are either free or very inexpensive. A mistake that I made, or something that I recommend that people don't do, is when I got out, I went, okay, I'm out, I'm done. I'm going to do this all by myself. I don't need any help from anybody. And I made it work, but I stumbled a lot on the way and it took me longer than it should have. Being a veteran, like coming from the military, you already have probably the largest network on the planet. When people reach out to you on LinkedIn, if they say, "Hey, I'm from the military, I did this, so and so. Oh, I saw you were stationed here." Like you right away have credibility that no random civilian will ever have. I can't tell you the times people I've reached out to in upper echelons that have responded to me just because of my background and the fact that we were both in the military. So what I would say is really, really lean in to the military and veteran network. Don't shy away from it because it's this incredible advantage that you have that others don't. And if you do want to be an entrepreneur, if you do want to set things in motion where you can control your own life, you don't want to work for somebody else for a 9 to 5, you need to have every advantage you can possibly gather with you. Like you want to have a tactical advantage where you're not competing with everybody else. You show up and you're already crushing everyone else out there, because this is one of the hardest things you'll ever do.
That's really, really great. I love that. And again, guys, if you do not have any question, if you do have questions, do not be afraid. You got the master right here. And I've heard Alex speak before, and he's got a lot of great examples. When
Thanks.
you, Jeremy, I know you had your hand up earlier. There you go. Go ahead, sir.
Hey Alex, thank you for
Hey,
talking
Jamie.
to us. You have a lot of information, I can tell. The one of the questions I had earlier, I was like, I was gonna do my own research later, but you were saying something about if you're at 100% disability, your kids get what do you call it? Benefits up to a certain age or whatever. I
Mhm.
thought that was state dependent, but my question now is actually about e-commerce. You had briefly gone over it, but I've always wanted to learn more about it, getting into e-commerce sometime in the
Mhm.
future. So I just wanted to stay connected, but I wanted to hear your story behind how you got into it and what you did.
Yep. Yeah. So I went and I was going to kind of jumpstart my entrepreneurial journey by buying a business. There's a really cool program where you can use an SBA loan to put 10% down and buy an existing business. And this was back in 2019, um, before a lot of people were really doing this. So I went and I almost bought a travel company that was like hosting events down in Latin America. And the whole deal fell apart about 2 days before COVID happened, which actually ended up being a godsend because the whole thing would have bankrupted me if I bought that business and then the whole world fell apart. So I kind of stumbled into e-commerce. I like saw an advertisement for a guy talking about his e-commerce journey, and I signed up for this kind of lecture from him and sat down with him, and he was offering a training program, and I jumped into the training program, and he kind of taught me how to build the framework behind an e-commerce company, and then from there I just scaled it and did it much better than the original guys taught me. What I would warn you about e-commerce right now, and basically anything, if you're seeing Instagram ads with people talking about how much money they're making on this or offering to sell you a course on how to do e-commerce or how to do it, whatever, by the time people are selling that course, it's because that particular industry is so overflowing with people that it's getting harder and harder to make money in that. So I don't recommend people jumping into e-commerce just as like a normal easy route. If you've got some very niche idea, go for it. But it's hard and it's a very, very competitive market.
Yeah, I bet. I heard of Jordan's Library. He does his courses completely for free and it starts to finish, but it's just he gives you like a blueprint kind of, but you have to come up with your own complete product from start to finish, which makes sense because, like you just said, it's a very competitive market. But I was
Yeah.
in the military in Europe at the time, so I was like, ah, yeah, too much work to do from there.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear
So,
you.
yeah,
I'm not
thank you.
familiar with that particular program. I would be wary of anything out there that's offered for free, by the way,
Mm,
because nothing's for free out in the civilian
mm,
world.
yeah.
I love
But
it.
yeah.
Nick, you had your hand up and then you brought it back down. Did you have a question?
Yeah, yeah. The question is, how do you get involved with the Master of the Military community? Do you just hit you up on LinkedIn, or is it like a
Yeah. Yeah. So super easy. Go to masterthemilitary.com. I've got a button on there you can click and you can schedule a call. It'll either be with me or someone else from our team. Um, I'm not going to get into all the details because this is being live streamed, but we're doing a massive discount for anybody coming from Seven Eagle or Legion Vets. Um, so yeah, we'll hook you up if you reach out and talk to us about it. Yeah, easy as that.
I love it. I love it. There was a question in the chat, Alex, about those incubators that you mentioned before. Do you have a name on some of those incubators or no?
Oh, off the top of my head, there was. I mean, I'm just doing a quick Google here because I can't think of it off the top of my head. But there's the DAV Patriot Boot Camp is one of them. There's one that's run by the University of like Pennsylvania or something. There's a ton of them out there. Are these
I
guys?
love.
Oh,
Got
okay.
it. Got it. Got it. Thank you. I do want to kind of pivot onto your Air Force experience and you being the cool slick back hair, the aviator sunglasses guy that you F-16 or F-15. I don't know why I keep doing that. I'm so sorry, Alex. F-15 drivers are, did mean to demote you. What was one of those great soft skills that you learned in the cockpit that has been surprisingly your greatest asset when you're doing everything that you do right now?
Well, I'm sure you guys talk about this in this program, but just the ability to deal with stress. I'm not going to say this is just a fighter pilot thing. When you get out in the civilian world, you're going to realize the shit like we've all been through preps you in a way that no one else from the civilian world will ever understand. And even if you were at a desk job your entire military career, you still had to deal with things that they can't even process. So, yeah, the ability to deal with stress, the ability to deal with multitasking, how to handle authority, how to operate within a framework. Like you're kind of coming out with some superpowers and you don't even realize it. It's just about figuring out how to kind of bridge that gap between all these skills you have over here and the civilian world. And there are some kind of sharp edges that you need to soften. And that's what this program is doing for you.
I love it. I love it 100%. We had another question in the chat, but I'm trying to get Megan to come off of mute. Hey, Megan, do you want to come off of mute and ask that question?
Hey, how's it going? Sorry, just a little tired after work. Yeah, my question was, if you said you did the VA loan, have you explored other options on the commercial side? Do you think the
Yep.
VA loan is the best option or
No, I,
okay.
it depends on what your situation is. Everybody's looking for something different. The reason why the VA loan is a good starting point is because you've got a lot of protections in place. You've got a lot of bumper rails on there to help you out. Meaning that to buy a property with a VA loan, you have to get a special appraisal where they come in and they check the property out for you. It has to have certain minimum requirements. The bank has to obviously appraise it at a certain level to be able to finance it. They're actually there to help you out if it's your first time doing a real estate deal. Additionally, the terms on a VA loan are absolutely phenomenal. You're not going to find anything like that anywhere else, especially on the commercial side of things. The ability to buy a property with basically zero money down and put it on a 30-year note with a lower interest rate than you're going to pay anywhere else is something that's absolutely incredible.
And would you recommend putting zero down, or would you recommend trying to put some money down first?
So it depends on your situation. If you are going to put money down, why are you putting money down? And so people will say, "Oh, I want to lower my payment or whatever." I'm like, okay, that's a great way to think about it. So then it's just you need to do some math. If your mortgage is at 7% interest, can you take that extra $10,000 you'd put down and put it somewhere else and earn more than 7%? Because if you can, go put it somewhere else. Don't put it into the house. But if that is the only way you can do it, then yeah, put it in the house. So it just completely depends on your situation.
I see. You said you were in the UK as well. From what I heard, you can't use the VA loan overseas, right?
Correct. You cannot use the VA loan overseas, unfortunately. You can only do it in the States.
Cool. Okay. All right. Thank you, Alex.
Yeah, no worries.
Thank
you. So I do want to talk about the 400-pound gorilla in the room, you being at LBS right now and you pursuing your MBA. Why was that the right move for you after you've already successfully, started a remarkable organization?
Yeah. I'm like a nerdy student ambassador for the program. And when people ask about business school, I'd say like you're going to learn a lot. Basically, like in any experience in life, I've broken down into 4 different reasons why you do something. And you can apply this to a job or an education program or anything like that. But so number 1 is the credential. Is this thing that I'm going to go do going to provide a credential for me that is going to help me out later on? So whether it's going to a college, whether it's getting an internship, whether it's working a job, you need to think about, if I put this on my resume or on my LinkedIn or whatever later on, how is this going to look? 2, the knowledge. So what am I actually going to learn by doing this? So if you're going to go to some, I don't know, absolutely terrible online university that basically costs nothing somewhere, are you actually going to learn something from that? Or are you going to try to go to a program that makes the most sense for you? So credential, knowledge. Number 3, and in my opinion, the most important, is your network. So by doing what I'm going to go do, what kind of network am I building? Who am I brushing shoulders with on a daily basis? Who are the people that I can now reach out to and I have access to that I never would have had access to on my own? So credential, knowledge, network, and then lastly, the experience. Am I going to enjoy this? Is this something that I'm going to like doing? Or is it something that's going to suck and you just embrace the suck for a couple of years and you get through it and then it's worth it on the other side? But those are like the 4 metrics that's I think about things with. So you asked in particular about London Business School. The reason why I'm doing that is 1, the credential is really good. It's one of the top 10 business schools on the planet every single year. Two, the knowledge. There are some knowledge gaps that I have. I've never raised millions of dollars worth of capital or anything like that. And I'm sitting next to guys and gals in my classroom that have done that on a regular basis. They've worked for venture capital firms or in private equity. So like really, really big numbers. So like we're taking courses, learning how to operate in that environment. And then the network, once again, like if you're going to an upper tier academic institution, the people you're hanging out with are like fast burners. They're the real deal. So that's great. I'm constantly, definitely not the smartest person in the room. I'm usually probably one of the dumber people in the room, but that's how I like it. That's what I prefer. And then then lastly, the experience. My wife's British. Her parents are 45 minutes down the road. We've got two kids, two kids in diapers. So the experience is great, and we love London. I highly recommend if you're going to come overseas, come check out London. Do it in the summer. Drink a pint of Guinness and pint of ale and everything else. It's a good time.
Yeah, respectfully, you say that you're not the smartest person in the room. Being close to the Air Force Academy and being an F-15 driver, you're definitely a very smart and articulate individual. All right, Mateus,
Thanks,
you
Todd.
were first, and then Brandon, you were second. So Mateus, go ahead, sir.
Hey, Alex, how you doing today?
I'm all right, man. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. First, I'd like to thank you for taking time out of your day to talk to us today. Second, I don't want to be like come off as rude when I say this, but I'm on the VA website right now, and they're saying the home loan is applicable overseas.
It would be, you can use it perhaps in like Guam in overseas territories, but I am 100% sure you cannot go to Germany or Italy or anything like that and use the loan, unfortunately.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Thank
think
you.
it has to be United States territory, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, you absolutely cannot use it overseas. Plus, overseas countries have local laws on allowing American citizens to purchase homes anyway.
Okay, there we go. So U.S. territories work, but foreign countries do not. Brandon, you were next, sir. Go ahead.
Howdy, Alex. Hey, really admire and respect what you're doing. Congratulations on getting into LBS. I'm kind of in a similar situation. Officer, 4 years, working on MBA applications right now, looking at top programs in the States. Was there any point in your researching when you were going into the MBA programs? I know you have ties to Europe. Were you ever considering top programs in the US, and how would you compare the programs in the US to European schools? And how did you deal with maybe self-doubt or underselling yourself? Because I know LBS is one of the top programs in Europe. Was there ever a point that you considered going to maybe the tier 2 or tier 3 schools, and what kind of influenced I know you talked about how to answer the 4 questions, and LBS obviously checks all those boxes, but was there any point where you were going to maybe look elsewhere, such as like maybe Oxford or Edinburgh?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's see. There were a few questions in there. Let's see if I can hit them all. Yeah, no worries. So for me personally, I didn't apply to any of the M7 schools or anything in the States, just because for personal reasons, this is the only program that made sense being out here. When you're thinking about applying for business school, don't think of it so much as like everything in the top tier. They're all top tier. Like you're all going to get the same education out of them. They all kind of give you access to the same resources. What you need to be thinking about is very specifically what niche are you wanting to go into, because there's specific feeder schools for specific programs. I'll use LBS as an example. LBS is for people that want to be consultants and want to get into finance, very specifically in London. If you want to be an entrepreneur, or you want to get into venture capital, or you want to do anything tech related, go to Stanford, because you're on the West Coast. If you want to get into banking and be a finance bro in New York, you should be going to Columbia. So like really think about more, I don't want to call it like the geography, because the geography definitely helps, because wherever you do go, that's going to give you, you're going to have more access to that particular geography than anywhere else. That's where its strength is. MIT and Harvard, like Boston is right there. Like you're plugged into that community in a way that nobody else is. So think about it like that. In regards to underselling yourself, I mean, definitely don't undersell yourself, oversell yourself for sure. Don't make shit up, obviously, but just like really try and like tie together the story, like craft the story of like how your military career has led you to this point where it makes the most sense for you to do the MBA. And then, I mean, you don't have to go to a tier one school. Like it doesn't make sense for everybody. You don't need to do that. So if that's something that makes more sense for you, then go for it. Did that answer all the questions? What I miss? Follow on questions.
I think you got them
Yeah,
all.
thank you, Alex. I think you hit them all for sure. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, Brandon. Sure thing. And hit me up offline as well, man, if you have any questions.
Yep, I am dropping your
I'll definitely,
LinkedIn link into the chat as well. Mr. Jackson, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, so we talked about only buying property over stateside. Is there a ethical loophole to get around that? Like, have a family member occupied or
I hold on. I'm going to say why don't you take that offline
okay.
and let's have you and Alex talk one-on-one on that, if you don't mind, Trenton.
I got you.
I just, this is being live streamed because
Yeah. I will say there is no ethical loophole with any of this stuff. The laws are like very, very clear with the VA loan. There are millions and millions of veterans and people have tried everything out there that exists. So I would highly, highly, highly recommend you follow the letter of the law 100%. It's just
What's
not something you want to mess
the
with.
time frame of occupying the properties?
So when you buy a property with a VA loan, you have to 100% be intending to move into that property. You need to be intending to move into it. The VA loan program is set up for you to buy a home for yourself and your family.
Okay.
Now, once you live in that home for a year, that's all the VA, that's all they care about. Like
Okay.
you have lived in that home for a year by the law, by the textbook, you can go do whatever else you want out there.
Okay.
Also, life happens. If you're still in the military, if you need to PCS, you can move into a place in PCS right after that. And then same thing if you get a new job or anything like that. Just remember, if you ever don't do anything, and this goes with everything in life and anything related to the government and everything related to the civilian world, it's all fine and good until you're sitting across from somebody at a table who actually cares about this stuff. And if you can't reasonably justify what you did and why you did it, like you're going to be in trouble. If no one's paying attention, yeah, maybe you can get away with stuff, but somebody will pay attention at some point. Yeah.
That's
Yeah, of course. 1 year.
All righty. Appreciate that. Thank you. And I do apologize for just some ethical boundaries.
Yeah. No, I got you, Clay. No worries.
Yeah, appreciate that. You being over in London, you stayed over there on the other side of the pond. What is that military culture for those who are wanting to transition out but stay outside of CONUS, like for you? And you have what was it, military and business club at LBS right now. Are you strictly just working with American veterans in that club, or do you have some of the British and others in there as well?
Yeah. So actually, I'll link this back. One other thing I was going to say to Brandon, who was asking about programs, just another thing, if you are ever considering an overseas program, all the American schools are pretty much like 100% America centric. So once again, if that's your goal, like if that's where you see the rest of your career going, is you just working in the States, then it definitely makes more sense to go to business school in the States. There's some kids in the program over here that came to London because they wanted a different experience. Like, I want to study abroad kind of for a couple of years and then get a job back in the States. And they're now freaking out because the pipeline for getting them plugged into these great paying jobs is all geared towards London and Europe. And so now they're kind of having to use these backdoor channels to try and get back into the States, whereas they should have gone to Wharton or, whatever would have helped them out. So LBS is a unique one. Like, there's 60 different nationalities in the program. 90% of the cohort isn't from the UK. So it's just from people all over the planet. In the military and business club, like, we have people from the States, Israel, the UK, Korea, Finland, India, all over the planet. So it's really, really cool. And for anybody wanting to move abroad after the military, you kind of find this brotherhood with people that have served, even if they weren't American. Obviously, you kind of have this common bond. Like you've been through a lot of the same stuff. So it is a great way as well to network and meet people.
I love it. Yeah, I do the same thing. Like I'm working on my master's in behavioral economics, and
Nice.
there's a lot of people that are, it's the same way, and we all sort of chat, and it's a really good global perspective because you never know where a good idea comes from in terms of being able to collaborate and understand. And that's part of the culture we do here at Seven Eagle Group. Um, I do want to talk about it because, we talked about education, we've talked about all this stuff. If someone's debating, starting a business or going back to school, what questions do you think they need to ask themselves to make that decision?
I mean, like anything else, you need to think about the best case scenario, the worst case scenario, what you're giving up by going down path A versus path B. And and if it's going to be worth it for you. So in regards to going to school, I mean, the biggest risk that you have is time, I guess. You're giving up time. You're going to burn 2 years or 4 years or whatever you're doing that could be put towards advancing your career. So you need to make sure that it's a risk to burn that time to get some sort of credential and some knowledge that's going to help you out on the backside and a network as well. And then regarding starting your own business, same thing. What are the risks? And I'd argue that depending on what you're trying to do, the risks can be much, much greater. The number one trait of a successful entrepreneur is resilience, because it's like a lonely road out there. If you've never done it before, you don't understand. When you jump into a job, like it's great. It's safety net. It's, I've got a paycheck. Like this is awesome. Like you land that job and like you're good. Yes, you have performance reports and you have to worry about getting fired and all that stuff. But I mean, life is pretty cush. When you're doing your own thing, there's no safety net. You're on your own and you have to build it from the ground up, and you're going to have good days. You're going to have a lot of bad days, and you're going to have obstacles along the way. And if you try and do it completely on your own, you've got nobody out there to help you out, to help you learn as well. So I'll circle back then to, once again, before doing any of this stuff, lean into the veteran network. There's going to be any school or training program you're going through, there's probably some sort of veteran community around it. Most universities have, obviously RTC stuff, but they'll have some sort of veterans club involved as well. You can cold reach out to them, and I promise you they'll get back to you in a heartbeat. And then same thing with entrepreneurship.
I love it. I love it 100%. You have obviously, you've built a lot of different things. You've done a lot of different things, and we only have a few minutes left. You have master in the military, you're going to LBS, you have a remarkable career, being in the military. If you could go back on the day that you sat there and you tapped out and hung up that flight suit for the last time, what was one piece of advice that you give yourself about the next 5 years?
Give myself lots of advice. One of the biggest things for me, and I've spoken with a lot of veterans about this, and I think this is probably gonna be the same for a lot of you guys and gals out there. I didn't realize how much of who I was as a person, who I thought I was as a person, was wrapped up in what I did with my job, with my career. So one day I was F-15 fighter pilot Alex with the slick back hair and the sweet aviators, walking around breaking jets for the maintainers every day. And then the next day I'm just some dude on the street, and that like that was harder to deal with than I thought it was going to be. And so you lose kind of this identity of who you are, and at the same time you kind of lose a sense of this mission, because Like what's great right now, and you actually take it for granted while you're in the military, is that every day you wake up and you have a mission. You're supporting the United States of America. You're doing good, you know, you're doing well by doing good. And you don't have to think about that. And then all of a sudden you're just adrift in the void and you kind of have to make your own way. And you have to figure out, what is my mission now? What am I doing? And I'll tie this back into it. This is one of the reasons why I put together Mass of the Military, is because I don't want to be adrift in the void out there. Like, I want people to understand that this is your new mission now. You've been serving the United States of America for your first career. And now for the second chapter of your life, or third chapter, or whatever it is for you, you need to be working and hustling to better you and your family's life, you and your family's situation and your future forever. By my 2-year-olds here in the background running around.
No, you're perfectly fine. I am going to wrap it.
Yeah, sounds good, Clay.
There, but I want to just, if anybody else has any more questions for Alex, now's your time before we hand it off to Judd and his team. But anybody got any last questions or comments for Alex?
If not, thank you, everybody. I appreciate your time. Connect with me on LinkedIn, shoot me some messages, check out masterthemilitary.com if you're interested in getting involved with that. And regardless, good luck with everything. You guys are already miles and miles ahead of other people that are transitioning out that haven't done something like this. So good on you. Rock and roll.
They're all miles ahead when I was sitting there transitioning out. So Alex, from the bottom of my heart, it was a pleasure to actually host you today and actually be able to pick your brain, because you are a fantastic person. Thank you very much for coming back. We do greatly appreciate you.